box!
Hello there, welcome back to Bloodbox. This is the channel where I animate stuff and chat nonsense for 10 minutes while you guys get bored of my drivelly voice. I got a new gig, so I've been busy lately. This one has been a bit slow getting out, but it's a cool one, I think. So for today's episode, I am going to do a light tutorial on something that is a staple of animation, and that thing is walks. That's right, we're going to be doing walk cycles today. Now, I love a good walk cycle. I've done thousands now, probably. Thousands? Would I say thousands? Maybe close to 1,000. Okay, let's say 1,000. I've done 1,000 walks in my animation career, and I love them. I love a good walk. It's a great way to tell whether an animator knows what they're doing or not. And there's so many ways to do a different type of walk. There's so many ways. Now, I've covered runs on this channel before, and I haven't talked about walks. Oh no, I have talked about walks. I did a walk, a really small bit in way back when, in probably the second video, and it was when I was animating Blurt. And yeah, I might go into a bit more in depth. This is from a design I did about a year ago. Again, a design I threw up on my Instagram and just, yeah, there you go, internet, have it. And you know, when I designed it, I was thinking, you know what, I want to animate that one day. One day in the future, I'm going to animate that. And that day is today, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the keys needed for a regular walk. The main keys that we are going to be talking about are the stride or the contact, the down, the passing, the up or the high, and then the other contact. So these are the four main keys for an animation walk cycle, and they are the bedrock from which you build your beautiful, delicious animation walk cycle. Okay, so here's the build. Now I'm going to start with the stride, which is the first key in that little diagram I had before. And what you want is, you want to make sure you sort of plan out ahead. And that's really coming from me because I never plan anything. You want to make sure that both strides on either side, so left foot front, right foot front, you want to make sure they are the same distance apart from each other. And sometimes I like to put a floor grid on the ground, like a spacing grid, to give me an idea of where the heel is touching the ground, to keep it as even as possible. So I have the first stride and the reverse stride worked out roughly. And now I'm going to start working on the passing key. Now the passing key is where the character is, well, it's an in-between kind of. It's like a key in between. And it's where the leg, the back leg, is passing the front leg. And eventually the weight is going to be transferred onto the other leg. So yeah, this is the key that bridges both strides. So right here I have the passing key figured out roughly. And I'm working on the other one for the other side. So when I animate stuff and I'm setting out keys and figuring out stuff, I do it very loose and rough. Because if I spend a lot of time on a key or a pose and it doesn't work, then I've just wasted, you know, half an hour, 25 minutes just figuring out a silly pose that doesn't work. So I'll do stuff really rough, really loose, and that way I can figure out where I'm going with the scene more efficiently. Yeah. Okay, so the next pose I'm working out is the down pose, sometimes called the recoil pose. I think it's called that because it's where all the weight sort of comes down, and that's where the legs take all the body weight and the momentum from the up. But yeah, this is the down pose, and the secret to a good down pose is having the back leg go out further, so the toe and the foot sort of bend out behind the trailing leg. Here, I'll just show you. Okay, so here's an animation I did a while ago, a couple of years ago maybe. It's just a guy walking. And here's the stride key that we did earlier. And here is the down key. The foot here is dragging behind. That's what you want on the recoil, or the down key. And you want a bit of bend in the leg. That's the secret. So with this animation, the robot guy is quite heavy on top. He's a big mechanical thing, his top heavy, and I'm gonna have that swaying side to side. And I figured, you know what, I'm gonna start putting that in the keys so I can get a good feel for that. And we'll see where we go with that. I will cover that later more in this video, because I mess around with that a lot. And this rig isn't very versatile. Like, there's no deformers in it really. So I'll cover that more in a bit. Okay, so I have the down worked out, and I'm trying to figure out that back foot, and I'm trying to figure out the weight, like I was just talking about. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit now. I think I've covered downs and recoils enough. So now I'm gonna talk about the high, or the up, and that is this. That's this key right here. It's the one right before the front foot. The front foot that's coming forward flips up to plant on the stride. So the high is, like the key suggests, the highest point that a character walk will be, and it's where the energy kind of goes lifting the character up. So I'll just show it here. Yeah, so stride, down, passing, ups right there. He's just at his highest there, just. Now I have the in-betweens at the top here, really close between the passing and the high, just because he's a big heavy machine. And like I said, this is where all your momentum goes in the character. You want to make sure the back foot is on, close to, or on his toes. And if you see in this one here, it's a bit more obvious in this walk. Right there is the up. He's on his toes, the front foot is leaning forward, it's kind of dragging. It's right before it flips for the stride, which is right there. Up in the stride, and then on the other side, up, then stride. And you want to leave that foot flipping like last minute, right before the foot makes contact on the ground to plant for the next cycle for the other side. Hooray! Back to this guy. This walk looks different because he's built differently and he weighs more. He's not a skinny guy, he's a big hulking robot. So there's a lot more kind of bounciness because that's where the weight is in the top here. Yeah. I'm going to talk about the drag and the arms next. No, I'm going to talk about the in-betweens, and then we'll get into the drag and the rotation on the head. Okay, so I'm in between this guy now, Mech Man, and I'm going to be in betweening the upper body and the lower body pegs separately. Mainly because, almost exclusively because, the legs are going to be more constant than the top. The top's going to be bouncing around and dragging, and the timing's going to be a bit more unconventional from a regular walk. But the legs are going to stay as evenly spaced as possible, because if you want a walk to look as normal as possible and as good as possible, you want the feet spacing as constant as you can make it. Because if you have a foot that moves back more and then the next in between it sort of moves back less and then it jutters back again a bit more and then a bit less, it's going to look rubbish. So if you're having trouble with feet spacing, use that technique I told in the beginning with the little grid thing. Okay, so in-betweens. So I've isolated the feet and the torso here. I got rid of the hands for a second, the arms and the gun, just to see exactly clearly how the legs are working. And they're working okay. Like I said, it's just the legs are going at the standard walk, which is fine. All the juicy, lovely stuff is going to be in the torso and the arms. And I'm going to add a character on top, actually. There's going to be a girl I'm going to add on top, but she's going to be kind of showing off the wave principle. But I'm just finishing up the legs here. So I have the legs done and the upper torso, the upper body is sort of rocking back and forth. That's fine. It's not really done yet, but let's see how it looks with a gun. Yeah, okay. That's a basic walk. It's working. So I'm going to start working on the arms now. Now the arms in this are, again, very heavy. He's a big robot, and it's going to be overlapping action. In the same way that you would have a character's hair and cape, let's say, or dress maybe, flapping around, overlapping the primary action. In a regular walk, you would have a character's arms swinging back and forth. In this one, because robot guy is holding a gun or holding a prop, it's going to be a little bit different. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to have the gun, when he steps down, his arms are going to not raise up, but they're going to stay in place. And then as he hits the recoil, his arms are going to spring downwards and then back up to give that sense of weight of the weapon he's holding. So you can see here, if you just keep an eye on the gun, it's going to spring up and down. So here's the down, and the gun's going to land, maybe 2 frames afterwards. Bam. And then it's going to drag back up, and it's going to repeat. So with the arms, I'm dragging them now. I'm dragging them around, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I'm going to get to the body soon, and then I'll get to the secondary character in the scene. Okay, so here's the walk thus far. The arms are basically working. It feels a bit janky still, like there's something popping in there in the legs and the arms, but I'm on my way. I'm about 60% there. Now I'm going to start working on a bit of rotation on the head. So I want his torso kind of swinging back and forth. You see that in regular walking humanoid characters, their heads will rotate slightly when they walk. And if you just kind of watch humans, regular real life people, heads do swing back and forth a little bit, but I'm going to give that to him. And I'm going to make it quite subtle. I think you might see it here. I really go for it, and it looks kind of rubbish. So I toned it down quite a bit. So if you look here at his facial features, I'll zoom right in. I give him a bit of a head twist. Don't mind these features, these bits of I don't know, texture, debris looking rusty bits don't rotate, but that's fine because it's subtle enough that you don't really notice it. That's okay. Yeah, just a bit. Doesn't move that much. So here's the character I've added. She sits on top and she's going to be swaying back and forth. And this is a really good example of the wave principle, which I will get into right now. So because she's on top and the robot is waving back and forth, I am going to have her kind of swaying again as secondary action, and it's going to kind of loosen up the animation overall because we have a loose object in there. Yeah, so wave principles. Let's talk about that. Here's a screen cap from the Preston Blair animation book. I think I've showed you this before, but it shows pretty well. It's a pretty good diagram showing how the wave principle would work with a blade of grass, which is when you're in art school, that's how they teach you. Your professors teach you with a blade of grass. Where does wave principles apply in regular everyday character animation? So it would apply to stuff like bits of clothing, hair. If you look at their hair at the end here, there's a really strong wave principle in there. It also apply to just regular characters like this one. So she'll be waving back and forth, and if you can imagine the top of her head being like the top of a blade of grass, it'll wave back and forth. The thing about wave principle is it's one of those things where you have to just do it. When I do it, I don't really key it out. I just straight ahead it. Straight ahead animation is where you just start on one frame, then go on the next frame, and then the next frame, and the next frame. Key animation is not that. That's where you block it out, like the walk I've been doing in this episode, and you fill in the in-betweens. When I do a wave principle, I usually just straight ahead it, and I figure it out, and then I tighten it up. I do use the in-between shortcuts to sort of fine-tune it to make it look nice and make sure it doesn't pop. You can see here how the wave principle applies to this girl, and you can see how it applies to her hair also. So yeah, like I said, I just straight aheaded this animation of her. It turned out fine. I did have to go through and sort of needle through the in-betweens to sort of fine-tune it and this and that, but yeah, it turned out okay. Oh, I also added some sound effects and some special effects, and let's see how it turned out. yeah, I think that turned out okay. I'm pretty happy with it. The effects look nice. I added some sound effects. Sound kind of adds like 30% to cartoons, so I think it worked okay. Before you go, check out my Patreon. There's a couple of bucks a month. I post on there semi-regularly. I should do it more often. Also, check out my Instagram. Links in the description below. And if you want to support me, that'd be great. If not, that's fine. Enjoy the video. Give me a like and subscribe. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we did it. This video took forever to edit because I was lazy and I had my mind on other stuff, but thank you for bearing with me. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.